October 21st, 1600. 7 enemy samurai encircled Kao, the most formidable fighter from his dojo. He had never lost a sparring match. His technique was flawless, his discipline absolute. He lifted his blade, posture immaculate. The first attack descended from above. He parried cleanly. The second came from behind. His body locked. His stiff stance couldn't turn quickly enough. Steel tore across his side. Agony burst through him. Warm blood soaked his armor. He tried to recover, but his refined technique only functioned in controlled settings. This was disorder. This was confusion. More strikes followed. His armor split. He fell to one knee. In less than half a minute, the strongest warrior was shattered. A short distance away, a smaller samurai named Riku moved among 7 attackers, like a current slipping through rocks. No rigid posture, no textbook form, just uninterrupted motion. He endured. Kao stared in disbelief. How, months earlier, there? Teacher had posed a question. When the coming battle arrives, which of you will remain standing? Kao answered without hesitation. I will. I'm more powerful, quicker, more disciplined. The master shook his head. You were hard like forged steel. Impressive, solid. But steel snaps. He pointed toward Riku. He is supple like water. Water cannot be snapped. It adjusts. It shifts. It persists. At the time, Kao dismissed the warning. Now, bleeding in the mud, he understood. The lesson was called Mizuno Kokoro, a mind, like water. The warriors who endured the Battle of Sekigahara were not the most muscular or the most technically gifted. They were the most flexible. Not metal, water. And most people live like metal, stiff in their habits, unyielding in relationships, fixed in their thoughts, believing that strength means never bending. Yet it is that very stiffness that causes them to crack. Kao had. Trained since childhood under Master Teshin in Mino Province, every dawn he repeated 1,000 overhead cuts, exact posture, exact distance, no deviation allowed. His classmates called him Iron Cow. He earned every victory through precision and control. His defenses were airtight, his footwork exact, his strikes sharp and fast. But one evening, his master tested him. He placed an iron rod and a leather cord on the table. Which is stronger? The Iron Cow replied confidently. The master bent the cord easily. Then he struck the iron rod against the floor until it fractured. The rigid object appears stronger, he said quietly, until pressure proves otherwise. He warned him that war was approaching, a decisive confrontation between Tokugawa Ieyasu in the east and Ishida Mitsunari in the west. Soon, they would clash at Sekigahara. The conflict would reshape Japan. You are trained for predictable combat, the master told him. Battle is unpredictable. Before the armies marched, the master brought Kao and several students to a mountain temple. There, a Zen monk instructed them to stand beneath a waterfall at dawn. When the freezing torrent struck Kao, he braced himself. He tightened every muscle and fought against the force. The water battered him relentlessly until he could barely endure it. Then Riku stepped beneath the same cascade. Instead of resisting, he softened. He shifted with the pressure. He yielded when pushed and straightened when the force lightened. He remained far longer and emerged calm. The monk later tossed a stone into a still pond. Ripples disturbed the reflection, but soon the surface cleared again. Water adapts to its container, he explained. It moves around obstacles, and when undisturbed, it reflects reality exactly. This is the mind you must cultivate. The master reminded them of Miyamoto Musashi, who taught that one must master technique so thoroughly that it can be forgotten in battle. To cling to form is to hesitate. To hesitate is to perish. When the armies finally collided on October 21st, chaos overwhelmed everything Kao believed he knew. The ground was muddy, the noise deafening. Opponents fought wildly, without restraint or pattern. His textbook stance faltered on uneven earth. His rehearsed counters failed against erratic attacks. A blade cut his arm. Fear surged. In that instant, he remembered the waterfall. Stop fighting the current. He stopped forcing perfect form. Instead of meeting force with resistance, he redirected it. When attacked, he shifted rather than blocked. When pressured, he retreated into space and returned from an unexpected angle. His movements lost their polished beauty, but gained effectiveness. Later, surrounded by multiple enemies, he didn't hold a defensive pose. He slipped between them, manipulated their momentum, and let confusion work in his favor. He endured not because he was stronger, but because he was adaptable. By sunset, the eastern forces prevailed. The era of Tokugawa Ieyasu would begin. The 20 warriors from their dojo, only 7 survived. The most rigid had fallen first. The flexible remained. On the journey home, his master gave the final teaching. Many warriors learn flexibility only in crisis. When peace returns, they revert to stiffness. That is the final trap. Water does not become stone when the storm passes. It remains fluid and calm and in chaos. When plans collapse, adjust. When circumstances shift, adjust. When certainty dissolves, adjust. True discipline is not stubbornness. It is the capacity to respond correctly to whatever arises. Steel is simple. Remain hard. Water requires mastery. Reshape endlessly without losing essence. 10 years later, Cal led the same dojo. Gifted young student stood before him, posture perfect, technique refined. Cal placed his hand over a basin of water. Strike. The boy attacked sharply. At the final moment, Cal's hand moved with the blow rather than against it. The strike meant nothing. Again the boy tried harder. Again, nothing solid to hit. "Why can't you reach me?" Cal asked. "Because you evade me?" "No, because you are fixed, and I am fluid." He told the boy of Sekigahara of how he nearly died because he mistook rigidity for strength. From tomorrow onward, Cal said, we train not for flawless form, but for limitless adaptability. The instruction continued from teacher to student, from generation to generation. And like water, the lesson never ceased flowing. With flexibility, train for responsiveness. Remain fluid in all things.